marks, and these ones are going to be melodic marks, like the Ravia that we learned last time. So fun tunes incoming, should be good. So just to do the revision, I'm gonna straight away pull up our sheet for this week, which is here. All right, actually I should have asked, is there anyone new lurking who wants to say hi, introduce themselves? We're all old hands. We all know each other by now. Cool. We're all friends here. So, everything we have seen so far is under this bullet point. And I want to go through all this before we do anything new. I can see Betsy's mouth moving. I take it she's having a go at reading through. That's a great idea. Everyone have a go. See, before I say anything, have a go if you remember, just yourself or mute, just see if you remember these different marks. I'll give you one moment. Okay, so we've got our first clause, our first type of phrase here, and it's B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, or B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, Zachar Keva bara otam. Otam. Yeah, sorry, taking a moment to get into that. And this is what we call our atnach phrase, or a sof pasuk phrase, because it always leads up to one of them. B'Tselem Elohim bara oto, Zachar Keva bara otam. Now, if we have a zakef katon, which is our quarter mark, then we have our second type of phrase. Asher al Adonai ki ga'o ga'a, Asher al Adonai ki ga'o ga'a, me'upah kadma olech zakef katon. And that's always going to be followed by running up to a sof pasuk or an atnach, or sof pasuk atnach phrase. Sus rochvo v'amavayam, Asher al Adonai ki ga'o ga'a, Sus rochvo v'amavayam. And we have a few variations in our zakef katon phrase. Anochi Adonai Elohecha. So that's if we have just a kadma with no mehupach before it. Or the same thing if our mehupach was at the beginning of a word, and so we'd be calling it a yativ, and it would again be Anochi Adonai Elohecha. And this would always be followed by something like Sus rochvo v'amavayam, zakef katon phrase, followed by sof pasuk atnach phrase. That's all our basic phrases, and this is the first couple of weeks. And then last week we introduced a couple of melodic marks. Stop, disjunctive. Not as big a divider as zakef katon, but also a disjunctive. Ume'at hadat tov v'ra. And this is just a variation, grammar-wise, just a variation of kadma, but it's a different tune. So that all as everything we've just had there, that I've said so far, is the work of the first 3 weeks. Does anyone have any questions on it, or things that have been bubbling confusedly during the week that we want to look at here before we move into this week? Go on,
can you just do the second one again?
1.2?
Yeah.
Asher al Adonai ki ga'o ga'a, me'upach kadma olech zakef katon. If we were to have no holech, I realize this won't make sense words-wise, but just so you're hearing the tunes. Asher al Adonai ga'a, me'upach kadma zakef katon. With the holech. Asher al Adonai ki ga'o ga'a. And if we just had Akadma, or we just had Amehupach, but it would be called Yativ. Ladonai, ki ga'o ga'a, Ashia, ki ga'o ga'a, Ashia Ladonai, ki ga'o ga'a, Susvarach vo Rama Vayam. And I also really want to try and ingrain these two as main. A verse will never end. Ashir Ladonai ki ga'o ga'a. Will always have a. It might just be Rama Vayam. It might just be Taha Sof Pasuk or Ma'arech Sof Pasuk. But before Sof Pasuk, you'll always have Susvoch Bo Rama Vayam, something from this group. Ma'arech Taha Ma'arech Sof Pasuk. Does that answer whatever your uncertainty was? Amazing. So let's stop the share. I'm going to go into our next melodic mark. Now, this one is moving away from our Zakef. We've spent a lot of time in a Zakef Katon phrase, and now these marks are added into our Atnach or our Sof Pasuk phrase. So we're going to be interspersing these marks with the Ma'arich Taha, Ma'arich Sof Pasuk, Asus V'Rama Vayam. And the marks that we're going to do today are used for pairs. They're called Da and Tavir, and they're used for pairs of words. And when I was a kid, I called them staircase up and staircase down. I didn't know any of the Hebrew words for marks when I was a kid, but I find that useful still, because they sound like this. Daga Taveh. Sorry, I'm easy with the leader. And down. Down has a couple of steps up again at the end. But I still find the name useful. So I'll just do that lots of times. Daga Taveh. Someone waiting. I should clarify. Hello, Gregory. You have just missed some revision, and we're now looking at Daga and Tavir, which go in the Sof Pasuk Atnach phrase, which might not mean anything to you without the revision, but you'll catch on soon enough. So there's a note in between that I'm doing. Daga, this in between note. This note doesn't exactly belong to either mark, if that makes sense. This is part of why I talk a lot about phrases. This is how you get from one to another. Daga is just Daga. Tavir is Tavir. And when we put them together, we go Daga Tavir. Daga Tavir. Daga Tavir. Daga Tavir. I'm gonna do it till you're sick of me doing it, and then one more after that. Daga Tavir. Daga Tavir. Okay, I'm going to go over to you, and what I want us to do this time, and I'm curious to hear what you're going to come up with, is we're going to do pairs of words. Just anything you can think of that's just these two words always go together. So I'm going to do a few to start off and get your ideas bubbling. Well, I'm suddenly realizing everything I picked is incredibly British. But Americans, fish and chips, salt and vinegar. They don't all have to be foods. I've just realized I've chosen all foods. Cheese and onion. You see the what else can I they don't have to be ands either. What just like this word always comes after this word. Table leg. Other people have pears coming to mind. Yes, fish and chips are originally, but yes, that's one of my favorite little trivia pieces. Yeah, does anyone, Lily?
Spanish and Portuguese.
Perfect. Do we have anyone else have any others?
Yeah, I'll go.
Go with me?
Applesauce. I missed a note.
Sauce. It was the second last one you missed.
Applesauce.
Yeah, great. You can think of Tevere as symmetrical. It's the same on the way up as it was on the way down. Really?
I have a question just about like the last two notes of the second phrase. Just because I feel like the way I have heard it before, my music A levels going out the window. Like the tones and the semitones were different, I'm just getting slightly confused. So could you maybe the last bit of the second phrase?
So there are two ways that people do Tevere, and I've only realised that the other way exists recently. And personally, I find that what are you doing? But I'm really curious as to know how far back this split goes, as it were. So I learnt Tevere as Tevere down to a low note here, tone. But some people do that bottom note just a semitone below. So
yeah, that's it. That's how I've learned it before.
Tevere. If that's more familiar to people, do it. It's not how I learnt it. I only realised when preparing for this class and going through recordings that some of the recordings I had, people were doing that. I would love to know the history of that, but I don't, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I learnt it from Rabbi Aaron, who learnt at Lauderdale, so that's confusing because you both learnt at Lauderdale.
Yeah, so I to me it sounds really weird, but that's just because I'm not used to it. If you want to do Tevere, it's not the last two notes, it's the bottom note that's different. Tevere, then stick with that. It changes the character quite a lot because it puts you in a quite different scale, which is why it throws me a little, but also I'm sure vice versa would throw you guys. So yeah. Daga Tevere or Daga Tevere, whichever. Does anyone else have?
I want to try.
Yeah, Monique, go ahead.
Vaikra Abraham.
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 Yeah, great.
Mejor.
I'm appreciating that we're jumping into Hebrew. I think the one Leonard's mentioned is the music at the back of the Gaster prayer book. If so, then maybe, I don't know, maybe I have learned wrong here. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does it this way then. But if, all right. I'm going to say both are valid in this class, because I'm sure it's not just me having originally learned it wrong. Like I'm sure I regularly hear people doing it the way I do it as well. But maybe I'll look into it, and if one seems to be more historically what's it, next week I was about to say I'll be more prescriptive, but no, I won't. tradition, like minhag. It's the way it. Does anyone else want to go? And if you're really stuck for pairs of Nico?
Aki and selfish.
The tune was perfect, but I didn't catch what the words were. What and saltfish?
Aki. And
Aki.
saltfish.
And saltfish.
National dish of Jamaica.
I'm familiar with that. I'm sorry. That's the one. Aki and saltfish. Okay, fun. Perfect. Sorry, Marie, that yours was Nick. We still roughly half of us haven't gone yet. If you're really stuck, you can use people's first and last names on the screen and just read them out. Pick someone. Pick someone else to pick on, as it were. Oh, is that someone accidentally off mute, or is that someone?
Chicken.
I couldn't see who that was, but it was great. Marie, that's you. You got your video off, so I didn't see. Thank you, brilliant. Anyone else? Betsy? Perfect, lovely. That one may even be the. Oh, I don't remember what is the mark for that in Genesis 1. I don't know. It's not on the sheet, but I could believe that it would be this. Lily's looking up. Amazing. Just still a couple of people who haven't gone. It would be great if we could, unless there's, if someone really doesn't want to do it, but otherwise it'd be great if we could go around everyone doing this, and then we'll jump into the sheet. Do any people who've not gone want to go? Rachel? Shirts and trousers. As perfect pair of words. You did 2 Treuherz. So the first one is staircase up. When you think up as you do the first one, and then do what you did for the second one. Shirts and trousers. Do you want to have another go? Shirts and trousers.
No, I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Have a stab yourself for a bit, and then you can jump in again. Come the reading sheet. Someone else in the waiting room. Okay, so let's jump into the sheet then. Great. So back where we left off, and we're going to scroll down. Now, I decided not to just put the 2 marks, but to instead place them in context. Because as we did with VR, I always want us to be practicing and learning things as part of their larger phrases. So we've got our Dagataveh Taha'atnach. Does anyone want to try 2.1 with the Hebrew words? Or I can.
I don't say that other thing.
Nicola, is that you reading 2.2 there, or?
Oh, I'm still. Oh, I'm not.
Oh. No, go for it.
אשר אנוכי משווה אתכם כיום.
Right. Does someone want to do 2.3? I'll do 2.1 just so people can have a bit more time to hear it if you want. Vaya Elohim et ha'or kitov. And notice how this or is we don't necessarily need our sometimes we just have taha. In terms of the phrasing of just these two as a go, so this one is a disjunctive, it's another divider, and it's same strength as Ravia, whereas Darga is a conjunctive to it. So this one's a divider and this one's a joiner. So we have joiner, divider, divider, biggest divider. Someone want to do 2.3? Gregory, you're off mute.
ונדעתי מתרתכם ואיתו יורה יום הכוש.
Great, thank you. A 2.4?
I can try it.
Jordan, go for it.
ויאמר אליו אדוני מה זה בידיך.
Yeah, great. All the tune there was right. Where in a place like here you have the mark, so normally the emphasis of the word is on the last syllable, and therefore normally the mark is also on the last syllable. But where you have the emphasis a syllable forwards, you want to do the tune there as well. So because we have the daga underneath the yud, we want Vayomela or Vayomela subjective. Do you want to give that one more stab? The rest of it was perfect.
ויאמר אליו אדוני מה זה בידיך.
Great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the little mark is right after the dalet. I would read bayadecha, even though grammatically it would be yadecha. So because the mark is here before.
Right. So,
but I
actually,
don't know. So that's a question.
What I just said about how you do the tune, you're exactly right in terms of what I just said about you do the tune a syllable earlier because of the daga being a syllable earlier. But actually, with atnah and with sof pasuk also, where's the sof pasuk? Here we go. We have our little siluk to tell us, which is the name of this little metic to tell us what the strong beat syllable is. With those, that tells you that the emphasis should be here, but you don't necessarily need to put the melody up there. So this is again a thing I think that people are a little inconsistent on, but I think the formal way to do it is Vayomelav Adonai mazeh biyadecha. So you still put the emphasis on the da, but you don't go up to ha. Biyadecha. But I do also hear biyadecha, and I think I'm personally inconsistent about which I do, which maybe isn't a good thing. I maybe should pick a team, as it were. But biyadecha is I think that's what I hear more. Yeah, but great question, because that is something slightly odd about these marks. Now, I can't remember if, I don't think anyone has done 2.5. Does someone want to do 2.5? Betsy?
שלוש ושלושים מאת שנה.
Great. The tune all perfect. This again, so I've said before, we'll do fiddly grammar rules as they come up. This shava is one that would be said ushloshim rather than ushloshim. And I think what I'm going to say is, let's get to the end of 2, and then we're going to do shava rules, because that's the thing which gives like everyone a headache. So yeah, based on it, hold that thought, basically, is what I'm saying. Does someone want to do 2.6?
Oh.
Monique, was that you? Oh, Monique and Gregory, do you want to go? And then Monique, do you want to take 2.7? Great.
ויאמר אליו יהודה לאמור.
Great. And Monique, the last one.
וכסף אחר הורדנו בידינו לשבור אוכל.
Great. Yeah, so you've all got the hang really nicely of our staircase up and staircase down. So I'm gonna, let's talk about Shabbat a little bit. So Shabbat is, I would say, how I like to think about it is that it's the way that we get between consonants. So any other vowel is it's a sound, it's its own entity. We have this aleph and we want to go as the vowel that's attached to it. So, well, aleph doesn't have its own consonant sounds, so maybe you get it. So we go but the tav here, we just need something to stop this gap. So we have chem. Elsewhere, though, what we need to get from our mem to our tzadi, and this time we're gonna hold on one second. Sorry. Right, back to it. We need to get from our mem to our tzadik, so we are going to pronounce the Shabbat here, and it's me tzaver. The rules to remember are, when a Shabbat is at the beginning of a word, under the first letter of a word, like metzaver, like be natati, like be'ito, be yadecha, you pronounce it. And this one's a nice easy one. There's no, well, that I can think of, there's no annoying exceptions here. Another example that I'm going to have is if it is after a long vowel. This one could be annoying to learn because you have to sort of learn which are the long vowels, which are the short vowels, but all vowels are in two categories, either long or short. I'm going to look around for some more examples. I happen to have prepared a sheet with not many shavals on it. Well, spoilers then. We'll go to words we've not done yet.
You've got Rochavol. Rochavol, that's Shabbat from the
Where have we got Rochavol?
I saw it just now.
What I was about to point to is we've got a short vowel underneath ya, and the short and long vowels mostly come in pairs. So patach is short, kamatz is long. They're both but patach is short, kamatz is long. So this is vayav down, not yava, yav down. But if we had a shava, if this was a kamatz, it would be yava down. Here we've got a chirik, and it's just the lone chirik. This is a short vowel. So we just have mitzvot. If there was a yud after this chirik, it would be a long vowel, so we would have mitzvot. I suggest just looking up a table of long and short vowels and trying to ingrain those. And then the last main thing to talk about is when you have a dagesh. If you have a dagesh in a letter, then the shava beneath it is then pronounced. So all the dageshes I can see are also the beginnings of words, but we'll use one regardless. Chelet. Or let's go from without a dagesh, and then we can imagine if it did have one. No, okay. I'm sorry that these verses are not being better. I should have made special verses to demonstrate this. Now, so these three main things we've said: beginning, if it's on the first letter of a word, pronounce it. If it's after a long vowel, pronounce it. And if it's got a dagesh, pronounce it. Another one that comes up less often is if it's in the second of a. If it's the second of two shavas, if you have two shavas in a row, you pronounce the second one. Or if it's under the first of a double letter, like an hallelujah. I feel like I'm giving a lot of information now. But that's the list of rules, and you have this recording so you can go back and peruse them, and it's also a thing you can look up. Finally, though, to return to Ushlashim, this actually is an exception, and it kind of breaks the rule I was just talking about, because U here is a long vowel. But when you have U as an and at the beginning of a word, it's an exception to this rule. So Ushlashim, you wouldn't pronounce the Shava. Ditto, I saw another one elsewhere. U-item, not uwa-item. And also, this is a guttural letter, so we really don't want to Shava it. That is Shava Corner concluded, unless anyone has any specific questions on that. Okay, great. So we have nicely ingrained our but plot twist, I'm just going to draw. Plot twist, sometimes we have without the staircase up before it. So that's what we've got a bit of now in number 3 here. So I'll show the first one. V'natanu al-tzitzit hakanaf petil techelet or techelet, and you'll recognize that from the Shema. And I love it when we do bits from that we all text that we know. Now in this circumstance, Natanu is acting as its divider. So if you're looking at the sort of grammar of the verse, this is acting as a divider as normal. It just doesn't have a sort of a prefix to it. Either it doesn't have a word before it, or it does as here, but the word just isn't sort of important enough or whatever to deserve its own little melody. We just skip straight to Amaoyev. So enough spoilers of what's to come. Does someone want to have a go at 3.2? Gregory?
ויבוא על הר אלוהים חורבה.
Yeah. 3.3 that I just already gave a little clue to the beginning of. Any takers? You can definitely do the staircase down when it's preceded by staircase up. I should stop calling them staircase up, staircase down. You can all do Tevir when it's preceded by Daga. Jay?
אמר אויב, ארדוף אשיג, אחלק שלל.
Achalek Shalal, back home.
אחלק שלל.
Shalal, you want to, everything till there was perfect, and I was actually going to mention that these were spaced really nicely. But at the end here, we want to have our sof pasuk. The stuff we were doing in the first week about always returning home. So can you just do Achalek Shalal?
אחלק שלל.
Great. That's the thing I'm going to be really fussy about, because actually everything else that we're doing, all the other little marks, like these melodic marks, if you as the reader on the Teva, you don't do these melodic marks as written, no sweat. I mean, obviously try and learn them.
Can you please repeat the Amaroyev?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it has the same 2 marks.
No, so this one has a Treuherz because you can see there's a dot in the curve, but this one doesn't. So we just have Amaroyev. Oh, this is a nice little conjunctive, like, you know, we have it here, or like we have it here, or like we have it here, and its only purpose is to get to Oyev. Amaroyev. Yeah, just it's the exact same thing here with these two words that we don't care about the other bit. So we're getting straight to Moshe. So Lily, do you have a question? Or are you volunteering to go?
Volunteering. That's okay.
Go ahead. 3.4.
Vaydaber Moshe. Oh, wait, I've lost it.
Do you remember the start?
Moshe Ken El B'nai Yisrael.
Yeah, these two were great. You had that Ken and then El B'nai Yisrael. I wouldn't bother putting anything on because this is Ahlach and it's getting straight to. But yeah, these two are the important. This is the important thing, and it was great. Okay, so this is now Daga and Tevir concluded in terms of marks, but we're going to take part of their melody because their melody is the same for another pair of marks. And in fact, this pair of marks is, I'm going to say, my joint favorite. I'll meet my other favorite in 2 weeks. But these two, these are great. And the reason I like them so much is because they're really dramatic. They're called Zaka and Segol or Segolta. And the first one, it starts off familiar. Zaka Segolta. So it starts off as we know it, but then rather than doing ba da ba ba ba, it just goes straight down to the home note. No messing about. And so all of these examples I've picked, actually, it's pretty direct. But sometimes you'll have like 3 or 4 words with munachs in between the two, and you don't do, and you just do all of them on one note. So it's, and I don't know any other, like other ta'amun that I'm familiar with, you always like do notes on the munach, so on the holachs that go between the zakah and the segal. But this time you don't at all, and I love the effect of this because it just builds the suspense. We go up, and then we stay up here, and then we stay up here, and then we go down, and it finishes. And in terms of grammar, this segal, this is the same strength as where it's in between. It's normally discussed as in between zakef katon and atnach. So this is stronger than a quarter mark here, but it's a lot less common. This is, yeah, and so I picked this to be the first one to talk about because I think it's a great example of the drama you can sort of bring with these marks. So we go, Vaya Yosef item. Joseph saw with them. Who do you see? So this is like in Miketz when Joseph is Pharaoh's buddy now, and all his brothers come to get food from him, and like I'm not going to tell the whole story, but like drama's happening. Vaya Yosef item. Who's he going to see? Ed Benjamin. What plot twist? So this is why I like these marks. This particular mark so much. So I'll do it slowly a few more times, just so you can get used to the exact movement of it, and then it'd be great if someone were to do 4.2. So Zaka Segolta. Zaka holech 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 Segolta. Zaka blah 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 Segolta. Does someone want to do 4.2?
I can try it.
Jordan?
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe.
Yeah, great. The Vayomer, yeah, I should have actually said this as well. So this one we'd normally do to our special, our down holach. Do we remember from our, it's my bad, I'm not saying it, from Kiga. So we'd sort of go,
Vayomer.
Vayomer Adonai. Vayomer Adonai. Do you want to start that?
Vayomer Adonai El Moshe.
El, stay up there. El Moshe.
Vayomer Adonai El Moshe.
Yeah, great. Normally, small details of melody, I'm like, as long as the contour's right, I'm not hugely fast. But the reason it's important to stay up here in this moment is because that's where the tension is. You know, that's where the sort of fun of this mark is. Adonai, who's Adonai speaking to Moshe? Lily, I saw you stick your hand up for 4.2. Do you want to go for 4.3? Oh, actually, I should talk through this first bit. So we had this on Bayam Yosef. So where we've got up and down here. Bayam Yosef item, ba item, batom esarai el ava. Do you want to do the rest? Or does someone else want to? Nah, Lily, go for it. You've got it. Batom esarai
el Avraham Chamasi Alecha.
So this, I think the emphasis here should be Hamasi Alecha. Yeah, this should actually probably have a metic. I'm wondering if this is a Sephardi mistake. But
does it matter that it has this extra quarter mark between them?
Quarter mark. Is it the halech here? No, so this is what I meant when I was saying that you sometimes have whole chains of these and you just stay on the note, and that's the great suspense of it. So no, you did it exactly right. El Avram, he's still Avram at this stage in the story. El Avram, Hamasi, and we could have a whole bunch of other words here as well. And no matter how many halechs we have, we just stay on one note, and then Aleha. And segol ta is another annoying mark, which is at the end of the word, no matter what. So you need to be watch for if the emphasis is actually midway through the word, in which case it would be aleha. But Tomesai Alavram Hamasi aleha. Do you want to do 4.3 once more, or shall I stop Twitch from you and move on to another victim?
By the time I get to the end of the verse, I've forgotten the beginning of the verse. I'm just slightly confused with the having the phrase before it.
So this is sort of this is the meat, I suppose, and this is just how we're getting. I'm vegetarian, but I'll keep saying that. But this is how we're getting to it. So. Vatom esarai, Vatom esarai, Vatom esarai, Vaya Yosef. But it's it shouldn't feel settled because we've got our home note and we're going above it and beneath it. So Vatom esarai el Avram. So Vaya Yosef item.
Vatom esarai el Avram Hamasi
Hamasi, one note down, Hamasi Lecha. Great. Our last one of this mark, 4.4.
Right.
Michael, go ahead.
Yes. Vadabe Adonai El Moshe. Did the right thing?
Adonai. What was that?
But there's another issue. Well, for me at least, I'm not familiar with this script So I'm used to the sideway S as opposed to this little.
It's the same mark. This way of writing Ta'amim is more or less the same. There's like two sort of ways to write Ta'amim, two scripts. They're this very, very similar. This one just uses straighter lines for every mark except Zakah, when yes, it is quite different. So I should actually say to everyone, you should also be on the lookout, as it were, for many fonts use what looks like a sideways S above the word. I mean, it looks a lot like Daga, actually. Where's it? Daga's gone. Yeah, Daga, but on its side. So a little blup, blup. That's the other shape you should be on your lookout for. If you see that, that's this. Thank you for bringing that up, Mikhail. Do you want to give?
Sure, I suppose. Vadaber Adonai El Moshe B'Aaron. I did it wrong.
Yeah.
No, I did it wrong.
That was it. El Moshe B'Aaron. That was great.
Oh. Okay.
What's bugging you about it?
I don't know. In my mind, it sounds somewhat similar to the Darga and the Tevia.
No, exactly. Yeah, the Darga is the same, other than just we're cutting off the last note.
Yeah.
So Adonai, pause for suspense. When normally we would go, not normally, with Darga we'd go Asher Anochi. We just go straight into Divi. Asher Anochi. Here, Adonai, pause, El Moshe, and this is where we put our in-between note, and we stay on it, El Moshe ve'alaha, Ron.
You know, I also heard it not with such an abrupt end, but with more of a personalization. Something like Aaron as opposed to Aaron. I don't know.
No, that's totally fair. That's me sort of playing into the leading into the drama of it, as it were. But they're the same. Those are the two things you sung are the same, like melody. It's just that's more about delivery, I guess you'd say.
Oh, I see.
Right about it now, El Moshe ve'Aaron, El Moshe ve'Aaron. That's just being less about it, but the notes are the same. Adonai, El Moshe ve'Aaron, or ve'Aaron.
Yes.
Is that sort of what you're getting at, or is there more to that?
Yes, more to that. Perfect. Thank you.
Great. I like leaning into the meanings that, not meanings like definitions. Connotations is a better word than meanings. I like leaning into the connotations that the different marks have, because what you're doing when you're chanting Torah rather than just reading it out is you're like telling the story of the text much more so than if you're just speaking it. And I know I keep saying this, I keep referring to our voice cadences and stuff, but that's because I really think that's the closest thing. That if you were to read a novel, like if audiobooks were just someone talking like this in a complete monotone the whole time, well, maybe they get you to sleep faster, but you wouldn't be telling the story at all. The point of these melodies is to really like tell the story of the text. So you can be, and this is also why I'm not like as fast as some teachers are about the individual details of notes and things either. Like actually, if you really have all the contours perfect and you sort of go up, you should go up and down, and you should go down, and there's a strong sense of home, and you really deliver me like the story, I'll go, wow, that was an amazing Baal Koeh. I love it. More so than like, yeah. So I guess that's why but they're both right. All this is completely subjective, this type of real out on stuff. All right, I'm going to stop nerding out over to Amim. I just like them a lot. And we're gonna, so number 5. Joe, you have another question?
So are you saying it's more like sacred opera, similar to Bohemian Rhapsody?
Well, if we're going for a less sort of like, if we're saying I'm less concerned about like music, no, I don't say less about musicalness, but what if it's less about operaticness and more about melody, then the very operaticness of that passage, I guess, is the opposite. But I suppose in the way that it's like very Western-like in that, like it's that they're talking, it's that, yeah, I can see the parallel. I can see the parallel. Yeah, because there it's the melody following the words rather than the other way around. Like if you write, okay, I don't believe I'm comparing to Bohemian Rhapsody, but the first bit of the song where there's a melody, and we're just fitting the lyrics to that tune. Whereas when you get to the second bit, the words are the priority, and then it feels like the tune's been fit to the words, like thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening. Like you'd never have that tune if it weren't for those words, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's that parallel. Queen diversion over, but I love it, Jerry. Something I'm quite wary that we're doing at the moment is we're reading a lot of little snippets out of context. And something that I want to be building up the whole time is our ability to read whole verses. So this is a bit more challenging because right now I've really just been saying, right, we're going to do one thing. We're going to do ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-bum. We're going to do ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-bum. What I have now in 5 is I have full verses where the marks in them are all things that we've seen before. And what I want to do just for the last 5 minutes is have a go at reading a few of those if people are feeling up to it. I feel like I just made it sound scarier than it is. Everything in here stuff we've covered, and if there's a bit you don't remember, just pipe up. But does someone want to have a go at 5.1? Actually, or any of them. You can, if someone want to have a go at any of the 4. Monique? Go for it. Which number takes your fancy?
Anyone. The first, where is it? Sure. ויקרא האדם שם אשתו חווה כי היא הייתה כי היא הייתה אם כל חי.
Yeah, fantastic. Really great work. Does somebody want to do any of the others? Oh, well, we can just do 5.2. We can default to 5.2 if it's easiest.
והיה לכם לציצית ראיתם אותו.
Do you remember from last week's session? Do you remember what this one was?
אותו.
Great. The second half here is the same as Anochi Adonai Elohecha.
Oh.
Do you want to have a go at the second half here as well?
Oh, sure. Let me enlarge the script here. וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם.
Great. Do you want to try reading the whole thing to string it all together now so we can start building up a sort of a sense of a whole verse?
והיה לכם לציצית ראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות ועשיתם אותם.
You skipped the word Adonai, careful there.
Where did what?
Et kol mitzvot Adonai.
Oh, screen's too large. וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם.
Great. Really, really good. Oto. This one, we did it last week. It's been a week since we've done it. Don't worry about it. But have a yes. That was the only thing that you'd forgotten. So just have a work on that. Oto. Does someone want to do 5.3? Mikhail?
Sure. והיה אלוהים אל האור כי טוב, ודבר אלוהים בין האור ובין החושך.
Yeah, I think you read this word right the first time. Ha'or uven ha'choshech. But yeah, other than that was great. I'm just thinking, I was just pausing, thinking, Betsy, is this the closest we've got to the sun and moon that you had here? We've got light and darkness here. So actually it's worth saying, given that, the reason we would not see a daga teveh here is because we'd expect them at the beginning of the phrase as well. You can see that Elohim, all the splits we're talking about sort of happen in order. You know, you split half and then quarters and then eighths and then etc. 5.4, and then we'll close. Anyone want to finish the evening off? I realize it looks like it's more lines, but it's not actually longer. The line breaks are to help you. The line breaks are always on a disjunctive, a divider.
I'll give it a shot.
Great, go for it.
ותאמר אחותו על בית פרעה האלך וקראתי לך אישה מנקת מן העבריות ותנך לך את הילד.
Great. Well, Yalet, and this is Yalet. And well, I'm not going to explain causal form with 1 minute left on the clock, but this word would normally be Yelet, but because we have it at the end of a verse, it becomes Yalet. And that's a really useful thing to be able to take note of, because if you're trying to remember the tune and you're trying to remember the words, if you know this, that sometimes a word changes vowels at the end of a verse, then you only have to remember one. Because if you remember that the word is Yalet, the tune must be Sof Pasuk. Or if you remember the tune is Sof Pasuk, the word must be Yalet instead of Yalet. So yes, this is a thing where vowels change at the ends of words. But that was an on 1 foot explanation. Google causal form if you can't wait till next week. And otherwise, I think we are done. Thank you all very much. Does anyone have any last questions? Then Shavuot Tov.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, Isaac.
Bye. Thank you.
Shavuot
Shavuot Tov.
Shavuot Tov.
Thank
you, Isaac. Shavuot Tov, everybody.
See you all next week. Looking forward to it already.
All right. 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or noon in the Pacific. So see you next Sunday.